expressed here are not supported by and do not reflect those of the Evening Rush Network. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Okay, I think we're live. Hello, good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Stacey Talks Money podcast. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Follow me on Instagram, Stacey Talks Money podcast. You can also follow my YouTube, Stacey Talks Money. Alrighty. So this evening, again, we have my co-host. Quano, can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Alrighty, I think there's a little delay, but he's with us this evening, and this evening we're going to be speaking about couples having joint bank accounts, credit cards, houses, car loans, and all that good stuff. Having these things together while being a couple. And when I say a couple, I'm
technical difficulties at the moment, but she'll be back with us in a few minutes. And how this internet thing go. It's always when you need it the most, it goes down. But she's back.
alrighty. I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, great. Okay. So again, this evening we're going to be speaking about having bank accounts, having credit cards, having car loans, having homes, as far as being a couple, pros and cons of having these things jointly. So how do you feel about this subject, Quano?
I feel like it's a lot to talk about when it comes to this. You know,
There
there's
sure
pros,
is.
there's
Yeah.
pros, there's cons. You know,
There's there's a little bit of both. There are pros, but to me, there's more cons. You know, when you look at it from the back end, the financial perspective on, certain things. So when it comes to bank accounts, I feel that a couple can have a bank account together, but if you're not married, you shouldn't have a joint bank account together. That's just my look at things. If you are married, of course you're gonna have a joint bank account because when you're married, there may be checks or certain things that you would get in both of your names, and that's expected, as a married couple. But I think if you're just dating someone, it's not necessary to me to have a joint bank account. How do you feel about that?
um, I feel like even if you're not married, I feel like it's
Mhm.
okay to have a joint account. I think it boils down to trust, right? I feel like if you trust the partner that you're with, I think it can work out to be a great thing even before you're married, right? Because just like some people feel like you shouldn't live together. Some people feel like you should live together first before you get married. So it's always like a process before you do things. So
Right.
I feel like if you get a joint account with somebody before you marry, if everything is running smooth, it kind of lets you know, all right, cool. This is what we can. This is what we
Right.
got forward. Look forward to build with.
Okay. Right. Right. But what about if you had a bad experience?
Now, if you had a bad experience,
Yes.
that can be that
Yeah.
can be a major turn off moving forward, right?
Yes.
And I'm talking about with should you no longer be with that same partner, that can be
Yeah.
a turn off with the next person that you're with because
Right.
you then had that negative experience.
Yeah. 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 And it's, let's say you're in a situation with someone and you break up, and then you have a joint account and they take your money. How would you feel? That's not a nice feeling.
I mean, I'm asking because I never had a joint account. So, but is it that easy? I mean, I don't think it's that easy, all right? Like, isn't it like a process that would have to be done? Like, you can just say, all right.
Yeah.
What you just asked me. So
Right.
does that factor in now? Does that factor in as far as should you should you be documenting what you're putting in? Because let's say me and
Right.
you decide we gonna go, we're gonna get a joint account together,
Right.
and
Right.
things don't work out with us, but this joint account hit 10 grand.
Right.
Now, if it's not documented that I put in at least seven, I mean, so now how do we determine who put more? You have to document it, correct?
You have to, but it's kind of tricky because let's say, okay, like you said, there's 10,000. We have a disagreement. I go to the bank in the morning and withdraw the money, all of the money. You know what the bank is going to say? You have a joint account. Everybody has rights to the money. That's what they're going
All
to
right,
say. And that's
all
how it
right, cool.
goes. That's why
All
when you
right,
have a
cool.
joint account, you have to be very careful. People who are friends have joint accounts. It's a you have to be very careful when it comes to joint accounts and your money, because that person could take your money. And they have all rights. It's a joint account. It's like you're saying this person has 50-50 rights to this money.
Okay, so let me ask you this, being that you just said that.
Mm-hmm.
If a person went to the bank and they withdrew the money saying this is my money, all right, cool, they got the money. If if I was documented, if I was documenting every time I put something without you knowing, can I now sue you? Because I have the proof to show what I've been putting in. Like she
No.
stole my money, basically. No, that. Oh
Mm-mm.
wow, okay, you learn something new every day.
Mm-mm. 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 Because I have a lot of friends who work in the banking field, who work in banks, and they see it every day. Couples come in, friends come in and say, look, we had $20,000 together in this bank account. The other friend took the money. And there's nothing you could do about it. Because legally you signed and said, okay, I'm opening up this joint account with this person. We are both liable for anything that happens with this account.
Hmm.
So that's why I'm
Wow.
telling people, think about it before you do certain things.
See, I never. I'm learning. I'm learning this right now as we speak. I never knew that.
Yeah, a lot of people
I'm
don't
thinking.
know. Yeah, a lot
I'm
of people
thinking if
don't
something
know.
do go left, I'm thinking
Yes.
if something do go left, that you're at least able to cover yourself if you have the proof to show exactly, you know,
I,
what
I
you put in.
mean, if it's a situation where you end up having to sue the person, I guess if you have all of your documentation to show, well, I deposited this money, I deposited this check, if you can show the transaction, but it's a very hard thing to prove. Because legally,
Hmm.
once you and that person sign up for this joint account, you're both accountable for this account. So it doesn't matter who withdraws or who uses the account the most or who uses the account the least. It doesn't matter. Because we could have
Wow.
a joint account and I could be the only one doing all of the transactions. It doesn't mean you still can't have rights to the account. You could go into the branch and withdraw money because your name is on the account, no matter what. So that's how
Right.
it works. Yeah, that's how it works. So, even when you're married, this is how these things work. That's why I think when you're married, you should not only have a joint account. Like some people only have a joint account when you're married. I don't agree with that. And that's just me personally. I don't agree with that. You can't have all of your money go into one account. It doesn't make
Oh,
sense.
oh yeah, I agree with that 1,000%. I think that if you have a joint account, exactly what is named a joint account, you should
Right.
definitely still have your own personal
Yes.
account. You
Right.
know.
Right, right. The joint account would be for, if you're married, the joint account would be for bills, or if you're getting any kind of checks in both of your names. Of course, you're going to need an account in order to cash that check because it's two names on it. But otherwise than that, you should still have a separate bank account. And, also, let's say your partner owes something and they garnish that bank account, you know what's going to happen? You have no money.
Right. Right. That money's getting wiped out.
They're not going to say, oh, your wife had this part, you had that part. No, once they garnish a bank account with your name on it, it doesn't matter who's jointly with you on that account. They're shutting down
Right.
every account. And I've seen
Right.
it happen to people. So just imagine your paycheck is going to that joint account. What are you going to do? Because of something your
Yeah.
partner did or something, you know, that's why people have to be very, very careful. You can't have everything going into one account. You still have to have something separately in case things like that happen. Not saying it's going to happen, but you never know. You know, your partner owes
Right.
something, they child support, different things. They try and garnish your bank account. That's it.
Right. Right.
You know, you're kind of stuck. You know, so
Right.
when it
I
comes to
mean,
bank accounts, it's very tricky.
yeah. Nah, I agree.
It's
I
tricky.
feel like all right, those are the cons. So you feel like the cons outweigh the pros.
Ah, yes.
Right. And after the examples that you just gave,
Yes.
I can understand why you feel
Yeah.
like that because
Yeah.
the cons to everything that you just said, that's that can be destruction,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
if everything goes well, it just seems like, all right, cool. Well, we have this going on,
Right.
but you know what I mean? Like it don't feel like the upside is higher
Right.
than what can happen if it go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
And a lot could go wrong. A lot could go wrong. You know, that's why there's nothing wrong. I'm not opposed to it. People need it, especially if you're married, you're doing things together. Of course, you're going to need a joint account. But
Hmm.
if you're just boyfriend and girlfriend or dating, to me, it's not necessary to have a joint account. I wouldn't see the reason to have a joint account if you're not married, because
Well,
what unless you're doing
well,
business together or you're doing things where you may have a check with both of your names on it, I could see that. But other than that, there's really no what other
right.
reason, you know, really would you need a joint account with someone, you know, you're not married to. But
Well,
yeah.
if y'all living together,
Mhm.
um, I think I think it could be a good place. I think it could be a good place to start, right? And here's the thing about joint accounts that I do understand. Joint accounts can teach discipline,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
Because it's almost like you remember susus. You remember they used to have susus back
Yeah.
at work and stuff like right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's almost like the susu, right? Like
Hmm.
y'all agreed to put certain amount of money in, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly. I feel like it definitely teaches discipline because you can always say, well, we don't need a joint account to do this. It's like,
Right.
we can always just come together and just say, hey,
Right.
I got this for that, right? That's fine. Yeah, and that's true. You could do it that way, but it's there's something about accountability that
Yeah.
really makes you feel like, all right, this is what I have to do. When I get paid, regardless of what, I know I have to put this amount
Right.
of money inside this account. So I
Right.
like the discipline that it can teach.
Right. Yes. Yes. It can. It can. But say your partner is not the one who's disciplined, and say they're dipping into it, but they're not putting in too. That could cause an issue too.
Yeah, it
That could
definitely
cause
could.
an issue.
That's why I said in the beginning it boils down to trust, right? But let's be honest, trust can always be broken, right? You could trust someone that they won't do something, and they still can do,
Yeah.
the opposite of what
Yes.
you thought. So,
Right.
in this case, right? If you got a joint account with your wife
Right.
or with your lady,
Right.
and you find out she went in it to buy herself a purse or
Right.
something,
Right.
yeah, she definitely broke rules, and now it's like, all right, cool. It's for y'all to have a conversation and
Right.
get to the root of, listen, this can't happen, or it's got to be open dialogue.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely a lot of cons to it. It's definitely a lot of
Yeah.
things that either party
Yeah.
can veer
Yeah.
off the track.
Yeah.
So I understand that. Um,
It's a
what?
tough one. It's a tough
Yeah,
one.
it is. Would I get a joint account?
Hmm.
I think I would. I think I'm open to giving it a shot. You know. because I kind of think it simplifies things. I kind of think it simplifies things a little bit too. You
Yeah,
know, I
yeah,
think it
yeah,
simplifies things.
yeah. But then too, on the flip side, some men, not all, but some men feel like if their woman wants to have a separate account from the joint, oh, she's hiding something. I don't believe that. There's nothing hiding. A woman should always have her little stash. Like my mother would always say, if it's a quarter and it's yours, it's yours. Nobody can take that away from you. So
Right.
how do you know that's how I look at things. You always got to have something that's yours that nobody can take away from you. That's why you always
I'm
got to have your little stash. Not that you're
I'm
hiding,
totally
but you should have something.
I'm totally and 1,000% agreeing with you on that. You definitely should have your
Your
own
own.
accounts separate
Yeah.
from that. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, just because the examples that you gave earlier,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
if if child support or whoever comes knocking at the door and
Anybody.
all your
Yeah.
money is tied up into this joint account, you know,
Hmm.
then man, it's dark days ahead, right? So you definitely need a separate account.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
starting a business. When you start in a business, you should never
Right.
start a business with your
Right.
own
Right.
personal account. You know,
Right. Right.
so
Right.
it's all the same. You gotta have different things separated from one another.
Exactly. It's the same concept. It's the same concept. Everything has to be separate. You can have the joint account just for bills. That's fine. You have your little separate account for your savings, whatever you want to do. That's fine. But the joint account could be all right. This is for our savings. This is for our bills. That's it. Nothing's wrong with
Hmm.
that. But you still need to have something on the side. You can't just say, okay, all we're gonna have is one account. No, I don't think that's a good idea for anybody. That's not a good idea.
So
It could go
so let
bad.
me so let me ask you a question. Do you think, in your personal opinion, do you feel
Mm.
like most people that have joint accounts, do you think most people have separate accounts, or do you think a lot of people have a joint account and that's it? Whether it's couples or people that's married,
Um,
whomever.
I know a lot of people that are married and they solely have a joint account, but I
Oh wow.
do know a couple of people that have a separate account, but they haven't told their spouse about it. Their spouse has no clue they have a second account. Their spouse just assumes they just have the joint account. To me, that's
Okay.
wrong.
So let's stay
To
right
me,
there.
that's wrong. Yeah.
Why do you think people hide that? I would never hide that. But why do you
Right.
think people hide that?
You know, people hide their money for different reasons.
Right.
It could be, I have a situation where a friend of hers, he was married to this lady, and he found she had a separate bank account with her brother with like $30,000. And mind you, she wasn't working. So you
Mm,
can imagine how he felt.
right.
He's like, I'm taking care of you, and you have a joint account with your brother for $30,000. Where's this money
Right.
coming from? They
Right.
divorced because of that.
I can understand why. I can
Yeah,
understand why.
yeah. Because he's like, that's not, he said, all right, you and your brother have a joint account. Why you never told me about it? And where did all of this money come from? So now he's come to find out she was taking money from him.
Yeah. I was just getting ready to say that's like living a secret life. It's like living two lives.
And he was so hurt by it. And from that, I was like, whoa,
Man.
that's,
Especially coming from a man, right? Because as men,
yeah.
our job is being a provider, right? So,
Right,
if
right,
we with a lady that feel like she don't have as much as us, or she don't have
right,
nothing going on, most of us would take on the task and say, "All right, don't worry,
right,
I got us," right?
right,
But
right, right.
you leading this man in the whole direction of
Yeah,
having him think that you don't have this, when in
right,
reality you have.
right.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, I can understand why they got a divorce.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. That's hurtful. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
That is crazy when you find out that your spouse has another account with their brother with and all of this money.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah,
it's $1,000, $500 where he could say, all right, you and your brother have a separate account. That's no big deal. But $30,000?
right, right. That's a big number too.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's a big number. Yeah, he had to get out of that marriage. I would never
Yeah.
hide that though. I don't understand the point in hiding that. I would never hide that.
Right.
You know, like I would never hide that. Like I don't see what's the point in keeping that hidden away. And you said, several
Yeah.
people that
Yeah. Yeah.
wow,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
man.
Sometimes people, they have that little side account. That's their little exit money in case they feel like, one day I might exit this marriage, I might exit this relationship. They want to keep that stash separate. They don't want their partner to know they have this, this little stash.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But you can let your partner know you
Yeah.
have your own personal account without letting them know exactly how much is in it. Right?
Yeah,
Just because
that's
you know I
fine.
have an account don't mean I
Yeah.
have to let you know my exact
Yeah,
number.
that's fine. You don't have to say the amount. Yeah, but you can say, okay, I
Right,
have, just to let you know, I have another account at so and so bank.
right,
That's it.
right. And I
Just
definitely think
general,
that
because you never know. Say you might need that information, or God forbid emergency. At least well, she did say she had another account at so and so bank. So at least things can be done.
that
But
that
yeah, yeah, a lot of people have secret accounts and their spouse has no clue about it. And
you, you know what that tells me? You know what that tells me? That tells
what
me
does that
that
tell you?
a lot of people don't necessarily believe in that phrase, teamwork makes the dream work. We've heard that saying, but if you really believed in it, wouldn't you operate as a team? If you have a joint account with your spouse and you have a secret account that that spouse doesn't know about, you're not really operating as a team.
it's it's a tough thing. It's there's no right answer to this. There's no right solution, but I can only speak from a personal experience of that happening to me, where I had a joint account with somebody and we fell out and they took the money and I was devastated. You know how
Oh
hard
wow,
I worked and you just take my money, like, come on. So from that I was like, I could never have a joint account with somebody because that trust, I lost it. It doesn't matter who it is. I never felt like I could trust somebody in that way again
right.
after it happened to me, and I never got back the money.
Oh wow. So you went through this personally and you
Yeah,
found out the hard way that it's pretty much impossible to get back your money unless you have everything documented so unless you have everything documented if you wanted to sue.
I was young when it happened, but it always stuck with me. Like I would never have a joint account with someone because of that. When you're young, you're making your little hundred and something dollars a week. It was my money. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was my money that I worked for. And I
Right,
saved it. I wasn't making a
right,
lot. It was like about maybe $500. And back then it was a lot of money, but back then it was my money. And you just take it away from me? Like, come on.
right.
Because we had a disagreement, you run to the bank and go draw the money out? So I'm speaking from a personal experience, why I felt
Mhm.
after that happened. I was like, I would never, ever have a joint account with someone.
Mm.
That's hurtful. It doesn't matter if it was $5 they took. It's my money.
No, absolutely. Right. Anything you work for, you want to feel away if someone takes it from you. I don't care if it's a dollar. You
Right.
know.
It's
So yeah,
yours.
I get that. I get
Right.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of times when people do these things or they feel a certain way about these subjects, it's because they've had a personal experience. Like I can speak from a personal experience about it. That it
Hmm.
happened to me. So that's why I feel that way about it. So as far as bank accounts, it's a personal choice. Like I said, if you're married, there is going to be a necessity to have it. But to me, if you're not married, maybe not so much of a necessity to have a joint
Hmm.
um, account. Now, when it comes to credit cards, that's I think credit cards should not be joint at all. It's not
Um,
good. Having a joint credit card is not good at all because you could be stuck paying back a credit card bill for things that you never bought just because you're a joint card holder with this person on this credit card account.
Hmm. Now, let me just make sure that I understand. Once again,
Mm-hmm.
I had never had a joint credit card neither.
Okay.
So, so
Okay.
I'm asking a
So,
joint credit card. Now, let's say,
mm-hmm.
so obviously both of y'all names is on this was on this credit card, correct?
Yeah, yeah, it's a credit card account, and you each
It's a
have a
credit
card.
card account. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so meaning that if y'all doing what y'all supposed to do, y'all building y'all credit score, right? Y'all both increasing y'all credit score.
Yes, you are, but there is a downside to that because if you're, let's say you're a married couple and you have all of your credit cards together, when it comes time to look at your credit, it's going to be kind of the same. But if you have separate, if you're building your credit separately, you have a better chance of qualifying for things. Because after a while, you're going to look like the same credit profile because everything is together. Like every credit card you have is together. Every loan you have is together. That's why when you're married, it's good to have things separate and not have everything together.
Okay, so what if and once again, same example. Let's say me and you were married. You have your credit
Uh-huh.
card, I have mine, but we have a joint credit card.
That's
Um,
fine. That's
so
fine.
with that joint credit card, if we use it for whatever we use it for, if
Mm-hmm.
long as we're taking care of our business, are we increasing our credit score together?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I mean, so it doesn't matter who has the better score or not. If your score is 750 and mine is 650, that doesn't matter. It's yeah, both of your names is on it.
right.
So yeah, okay. So with that being said, that's the same thing like a joint account. I think that it definitely has major cons, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
But but to me, with that being said, the joint credit card, to me, kind of have more value than the actual joint account because the joint account is nothing but y'all just putting your money together to come together to do whatever it is y'all decided to do, whether it's vacation or
Right.
bills, all right, whatever. But at least with a credit card, it's like you can talk to your spouse and y'all can come up with a plan to say, listen, I'm gonna
Right.
help, build your credit score up. Let's get a joint credit card. I feel like that has more value than a joint account.
Okay. But with having a joint credit card now, let's say me and you have a credit card together, you run it up 20,000. You could say, I'm not paying the bill.
Hmm.
Guess what? Guess who has to pay the
Yeah,
bill? Me.
the spouse. Yeah.
Yeah. You could just back me and say, I'm not paying it. You can, and I
Hmm.
can't tell the credit card company, oh, he ran up 20,000. You know what they're gonna say, ma'am? That's not our responsibility. The bill has to be paid. We don't care who pays it.
Right.
There's a lot of people in credit card debt, and it's not even their debt.
Yeah.
People have
Yeah.
filed bankruptcy, and it's not even their debt.
Yeah. I agree.
So that's why I tell people be very cautious when you do certain things.
Hmm.
People are paying back
Um.
$50,000, and it's nothing that they bought. It's not even their debt. It's somebody else's. I had a friend. She
Yeah.
got a credit card for her boyfriend. It's in her name and everything, but she let him use it, and he ran it up $50,000.
Wow.
And guess who had to pay it back? She did
Yeah.
because the credit
She
card
did.
was in
Wow.
her name, but she had to pay it back.
Right. I mean, yeah. Listen, like, and just like you said, the joint account,
Yeah.
the cons is devastating, right?
Yeah.
So I understand
Yes.
the cons is devastating. Um,
Yes. Yes. Having
yeah,
a
I
joint
mean,
credit card. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they took a poll. I wonder if they took a poll out here in the world and asked people that's married and just people that's in relationships, how many people are actually in a joint account? I wonder how high percentage that is, right? Because the cons can be life changing. Let's be honest. If you go into a debt of $50,000 for something that you're not even responsible for,
Right.
that's a big deal. You know,
Yeah.
that's a major, big deal. So,
Right.
um, yeah, I mean, man,
You know
I don't
what?
know.
You know what? Let's take a quick break and we'll get back into that.
All right.
All righty.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Chrissy, here to let you know that the Evening Rush Network now has an app. Yes, an app, you guys, so you can stay connected on the go and watch all your favorite podcast shows. You can download the app at Google Play Store or Apple iTunes. So spread the word. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Also, if you're looking to start a podcast and really don't know how, well, hit us up at the Evening Rush Network at gmail.com and inquire about time slots, pricings, and everything you may need to get started. We got you. Join the winning team, the Evening Rush Network. And also, download that app. What are you waiting for? Get to it.
You're now listening to
All righty, and we're back. So let's get back into that topic. Now, I think it would be a 50-50 if you were to do a poll. Like 50% of married people do, some don't.
50-50, huh? I don't know.
I
After them calls that you gave, I don't know. It might be more defensive, leaning towards no.
right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be honest, because you're married doesn't mean you have to even have anything together in your name. It's not a necessity, you know. It's just people feel like because they're married they have to, but there's no law, you're not obligated to have things together because you're married. Even
That's
your
true.
taxes, you don't have to do your taxes together because you're married. There's no law that says that. People just feel like because they're married they should file together, but to be honest, you should file separately if you're married. You lower your tax liability
Right,
because if you're married and let's say you both make 100,000, you're being taxed on $200,000 worth of income. Where if you file separately, it's only 100.
right,
And also, if your spouse owes any debt, they take that tax money because you're filing together.
right.
So there's no law that you have to file together because you're married. It's just something people do, but you're not obligated to. You don't have to.
Yeah, I get that. You don't have to.
You don't have to. There's no reason you have to file together. That's
Right.
just a
Well,
personal
yeah.
choice.
As far as that, I feel like yeah, that definitely should be separated. I don't think you should
Mm-hmm.
do taxes together as a whole. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the joint credit card and joint account thing. Um, I feel like if both parties do what they're supposed to, it makes life a whole lot easier, right? I mean, let's be honest. If you got a partner out here in the world that you can rely on, it makes
Mm-hmm.
life seem a whole lot easier opposed to you doing everything on your own.
Right.
You
Right.
know, the problem is that everyone everyone is not as trustworthy, even if that's the way they make it seem in the
Right.
beginning.
Right. 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 I want to thank a lot. We're getting a lot of comments, a lot of viewers. They're liking the content, the info. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's anything you do as a couple is a 50-50, but like you said, you got to have that trust in your partner that they're going to do the right thing. You're hoping they're
Yeah.
going to do the right thing at the end of the day, and be responsible. Also, another thing that couples do, they get car loans together. I think that's a big no-no. I, I
Mm,
I just don't believe people should get cars together. It's a big responsibility and it's something where the other person could just walk away and you're still stuck to pay for that. Somebody has to pay for the car.
right.
So if your partner walks away or stops paying,
So you pretty much anti-joint everything, huh?
I guess because I see a lot of things on the back end and I see how things can go wrong and I see how it affects people from a
Right.
financial point of view. That's why.
Right.
Maybe if I didn't have this background, I would think a different way about things. But since I see on the back end how it affects people,
Hmm.
where people are
No.
paying back hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt that somebody else created.
Hmm.
Just like when you put a car in your name and if it's somebody else. you have to pay that car loan. You have to pay
Right.
that finance every month. They could tell you, oh, I'm not paying it this month. And guess what? They don't have to. Because what? The car is in your name.
Right.
The finance is in your name. So you have to pay.
Right.
You can't tell the finance company, oh, I'm leasing this car from my neighbor. They don't care about that.
Right.
They don't care. It's in your name. You have to pay for it.
Right.
Just like when you're a married couple, you can't tell them, oh, I had a fight with my husband. He's not gonna pay for the car this month. You know what they're gonna tell you? Ma'am, that's not our concern.
That's right. That's
They don't
right.
care who pays that bill. If you're fighting, if you're not together, somebody has to pay it.
See, I'm gonna tell you a little something about myself. Right
Uh-huh.
now, I never had a joint anything,
Okay.
but here's the way I'm going to do it. Here's the way I would do it. And to all those that's listening, I think that you should consider what I'm about to say as well.
Okay.
I don't think you should ever do a joint anything
Mm-hmm.
if the person backs out and it ruins your life. And let me give an example of what I mean by that. If if I'm making a certain amount of income, right? See, if I'm making a certain amount of income and I decide to say, all right, let's get this joint together, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to make sure that if something happens with that, I'm still able to maintain a lifestyle. Almost like let me give you another example. Let's say me and you get an apartment together, right? And
Right.
we decide to say we're gonna go half on the rent,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, all right, I'm gonna agree with you and say, all right, cool, let's go half. But
Mm-hmm.
I already know, should you back out for any reason, I'm still able to maintain this. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
you should go into any situation just strictly relying on what the other person say they're gonna do.
Right.
You still have to know what you got going on, and then you're gonna say, all right, cool. I'll agree to it. And guess what? If this doesn't work out, if you do need me to drive, if we do got this car note and you don't pay your part, I'm still going to be able to cover it and still do what I need to do because I never went into this just strictly relying on you. See,
Mm-hmm.
that's the way I do things. I feel like with that, you're leaving yourself room for a letdown,
Right.
opposed to just strictly relying on what this person is telling you. Oh yeah, I can do this, I can do that, and
Mm-hmm.
then when they don't do it, now you stuck. Like, oh wow, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
So that's been working for me my whole life. You
No,
know,
you're right. You're right. You're right. It's
yeah,
just like even when people buy homes together and they're not married. That's a major no-no.
yeah,
That is a
yeah,
major, major, major no. And I just can't fathom why someone would want to buy a home with someone they're not married to.
right,
To me, there's no logical reasoning behind it. And then when it comes to tax time, only one person can claim the home because you're not married.
right. Yeah,
So,
that's a whole other conversation. The home,
yeah, only one
that's a
person
whole
can claim the home. Right.
that's a whole other conversation with that. That's to
Yeah.
me, that's something that's strictly set up for, especially if you're talking kids. Like that's
Yeah.
a whole, like if you got kids with this person and you're not
Yeah.
married, that's
Yeah.
a whole nother, you
Yeah.
know, chapter
Yeah.
in the book.
Yeah. If you're just boyfriend and girlfriend, why are you buying a home together?
Right.
Because then it's hell when you got to sell that house and you got to divvy up this and you got to. It's too much of a headache. Even when you're married, it's a headache. But just imagine when you're two people who are just in a relationship trying to divvy up a home.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a headache. It's a headache. It's a headache. So, people just have to be cautious what they do, know what they're going to do before they get into these situations. I even think an apartment, you better go 50-50 in that apartment. I don't
Yeah.
believe in a man coming and stay with a woman or a woman. No, if we're going to live together, we are going to get a place together. You're not coming and stay with
Um.
me. and I'm not
When
coming and stay with you.
yeah, I think that
We
fifty
get it
fifty can be
together.
50-50 can be set up differently, right? I could say
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pay the rent and you got the
Mm-hmm.
utilities and the groceries.
Mm-hmm.
To
Right.
me, that still works. You know,
Right.
if y'all go 50-50 on everything, that's fine. If that's your decision, more power to you. Um, I just feel like whatever works, right?
Yeah.
Whatever works for y'all to make the relationship run smooth. You know, most
Yeah.
men, most men, most men rather just go ahead and say, "Yo, I got it." I'll pay the rent. You take care of this and that. That's most men. Um, I honestly think that a lot of women look for the men to pay majority of things because that title, oh, you're the man, you're supposed to.
I don't believe in that. I don't believe
I
in
don't
that.
either.
No, I don't believe in it because I feel like if you met me and I have my own place, I still have to maintain my bill. I can't expect because I meet you now or we're dating, you now have to pay my rent. No, if I didn't meet you, how was I going to pay my rent? If I didn't meet you, how was I going to pay my bills? How was I going to do my hair, do my nails? These are things I have to maintain on my own.
Right,
Not because we're dating, you have to now pay my rent and pay my bills for me. No. I mean, if you want to offer, I would gladly take it. But
right,
I'm not going to put that pressure like how some women say, oh, we're dating now, you have to pay my rent. Why? Why? It's not necessary.
right,
But that's how I look at things. It's not necessary because you met me in my own place maintaining my bills. Now, if you're living with me now, if you're living with me, a man should contribute
no, I
something,
agree. I agree.
something.
I think my personal opinion as just being in our DNA, just being that provider, I think we should, handle majority of the things that's when it comes down to being paid. That's just what I just believe in, right? Because like, they say a man is a king. Well, part of being the king is it's not just a title, it's what comes with that, right? So
Right,
you got the responsibilities. You're going to get the big responsibilities that come with that title.
right, right.
So yeah, I think men definitely need to kick in and do something. The more, listen, whatever you can do it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that. I mean, okay, I wouldn't expect someone. Let's say I'm living alone and I invite somebody to come stay with me, or we're dating. We say let's see how things are gonna work out. Say he's not making as much as me. I'm okay with that. If maybe he can pay the cable bill and I take the rent, there's nothing wrong with that. At least he's
right,
helping.
right,
There's nothing wrong with that. I don't expect him
right,
to now pay the rent if I know that's something he can't take care of.
right,
But some women might put the pressure, oh, now you got to pay all the rent. No. Maybe he can't pay the rent, but he can pay the cable and he can buy the food. That's fine too. Until he can, take on more responsibilities. But my thing
right,
is when men feel like because a woman is maintaining herself, it's not necessary for me to provide any additional assistance because she got it. Some men think that too. Not all, and I can only speak from experience. Some men feel like if they meet a woman and she's working, she's paying her bills, she's good, she doesn't need anything, they feel like it's not necessary for them to offer anything.
right. Well, yeah, there's definitely. Well, listen. I have a lot of conversations on a daily with people that, and I'll be
Yeah.
saying I'm a man, and I'm saying this, and I'll be like, man, and I say to my friends like, where's all the men at? I don't feel like nowadays there's not a lot of real men out here.
I wouldn't say
Somehow, some
real
way,
men. I like to say we need the old school men back. Like my father, my grandfather, the old school where they work, they just work. That's it. They work, they bring home the money, that's it. The woman takes care of the house. That's the old school man. That's what we need. That's missing.
no, no, yeah. I mean, that's fine, that's cool, but
Yeah.
but just going back to what you said as far as you said you have a problem with the man feeling like if they meet a woman, she got
Yes.
this going on. They don't have to do anything. I
Right.
mean, like, I was like, how do you call yourself a man if that's how you think, right? Like, so you just don't want to bring nothing to the table. I just don't. I don't understand how a man could think like
Listen.
that at all.
Listen,
You
times are
know?
different now. Times are different now. Men would invite you out on a date and they expect you to pay as a woman. Times are different.
Yeah,
Times are so different.
I've heard them stories.
That's crazy to me. Anybody invite me out on a date and I have to pay, I will say I can gladly stay home and eat Chinese food and watch TV. No, thank you. No, I'm no,
Yeah.
I'm serious. If I have to go out on a date with a man and I have to pay, I'd rather stay home and I'd have a better time. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I'm not materialistic or anything, but I just feel like principle. I have no problems paying for a date. If I invite somebody out, I have no problems paying for the date. I'm okay with that. If you pay for the first one, I could take up the second date. Not a problem with me. I have
Right.
no issues with that. But I just feel like the first date should be the man, especially if he's inviting a woman. You shouldn't invite a woman out and then say, on the other hand, by the way, can you pay?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I agree. I agree totally. You're not supposed to expect to come out your pocket with anything if a man actually take you out, right? And if you're on that date and a man is saying, "Listen, so are we going to Dutch or anything?" I think that you should leave
I'm
that man
okay
right
with
where he's
Dutch.
sitting.
Listen,
No,
I'm
no,
not
not
that
not
kind of
not, but
woman.
not
I'm
if I
okay.
ask you out. Not if I ask you out. That's type of stuff that happens. Like I think after the first date. I think if I approach you and say, "Listen, I want to take you out," that's just come with the territory. There ain't no Dutch. You got it. You're supposed to cover that as a man. If you're looking forward to a second date, listen. First impression is last impression. If you don't come correct on that first time, you won't get a second time the Dutch. You know.
Listen, it's crazy out there people for people who are dating. I don't know, but you hear some wild stories. Yeah, a man would invite a woman out and then in the next breath, well, I really want to take you out, but do you mind paying? And most women are okay with it. They're like, okay.
I mean, and the tone is being set right from then and there.
Mm,
The
right,
tone is being set. You know.
right, right, right.
So you have to understand. Anytime the first time of anything is a tone setter.
Mm,
So
okay.
if you allowing if a woman decides to say, look, let me just say this, right? If you get intimate with someone
Mm-hmm.
in a car for the first
Right.
time,
Mm-hmm.
you can't say nothing now if that person never invites you to the home because the tone was already set. You understand what I'm saying? You
That's
you
why
you
you don't
already
stop. That's why you don't
that's
do it in
that
the car
that's
because they're
why
always
that
gonna expect it in the car.
That's right.
No.
You set the tone. You've now belittled yourself, and I'm not just saying for a woman. I'm saying even a man, right? If a
Yeah.
woman convinces a man to say, "Listen, I have a Jeep. It's big. All right, cool." And then as time go on, if that woman never invites you to her house or brings you to her house, you can't even say nothing about that because the tone was set from the jump. If you would have established, listen, nah, we're not doing that. You know,
Yeah. No.
you
You're
have
gonna.
to you have to set
No.
the tone.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
not doing that. No.
right.
Uh-uh.
So it's the same thing. It's the same thing with this whole. If a woman decides that she's going to pay for this meal, even though the man has to take her out, the tone is
Right.
set. The role is reversed. You ain't the man. She running the show.
I've even seen people out, and you could tell they're on a date, and it's like when the bill comes, they're both pulling out their cards. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going out with no man, and I have to pay. No, no, I don't know. I rather I pay for the date or you pay for the date. But this whole 50-50 thing, or I'm pulling my card out, you pulling out your, no, I just think it looks tacky. I'm sorry. That's how I
But is
look at
that
things.
is that is that them trying to go 50-50, or is that them just trying to show each other I got it and they just don't happen to pull out their card? Because y'all both can pull out your card because you saying I got it, she's saying I got it. Y'all both got your cards out.
Some relationships are like that. I worked with a lady and she was like, her and her boyfriend live together, they have a kid, and she said they split everything 50-50. When they go out to eat, she said they both have to pay. She said anything they do, she has to pull out her money.
Mm.
I would have
I
said,
guess
oh no, that's a no for me.
I guess
She
that
said
was something that was
anything they
discussed.
do, she has to pay half. If it's $10, he expects her to give 5.
So this is something that he started that she just agreed to.
Well, she doesn't agree with it, but hey. But like you
Nah,
said,
I'm not.
she set the tone because she agreed with it from the beginning. So
Right.
she
So
can't
now he
complain about it
expects that.
now.
Right. Exactly. Now he expects that moving forward. I
Hmm.
mean, I don't know. I think people make things more complicated what they need to be. At the end of the day, you know, most men are going to cover the dinners or whatever. Now, as your girlfriend, fiance, wife, at times they're going to say, "Nah, baby, I got it." That's just going to happen. You know, and that's fine. I don't think a man should pay all the time, but I'm fine with a woman paying every now and then. It depends where you at,
I
right? It
think a
depends.
woman should pay. I think a
Yeah,
woman should pay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm working too. My money's good too. I can pay too.
right,
I see nothing
right,
wrong with that. There's
right.
nothing wrong with a woman paying. Now,
I,
now I'm not paying for the first date.
oh no, I,
I'm
I,
not
I
paying
wouldn't.
for the
I wouldn't
first
even.
date
Yeah, I wouldn't even want.
unless I made the offer to go somewhere. Then I would cover it. But if you're making the offer for the first date, I'm only bringing myself. That's it. I'm not paying.
And that should be a no brainer, right? Like whoever asks, that should be that should be not even a conversation. Like I'm gonna take you out. I'm taking you out means I'm taking you to a place to eat and I'm paying for it. Like that should be easy. That should even be no discussion. You
Listen,
know,
sometimes you have to stipulate everything before you go out.
that's true.
You have
That's
to.
true.
You have to. I've heard
But
stories of women going out with men and he's like, oh, I'm going to the bathroom. And he leaves and leaves her with the bill.
I was just about to touch on that. I was just about to say, sometimes a man probably intends to pay, and something
Sean, that's
happens on
you.
that date, huh?
Oh my God. Yeah, some men, they get up in the middle of the meal or
Yeah,
halfway through the meal, they just disappear. Or
yeah.
they say, man, I forgot my wallet.
Well,
Really?
I think that if a man pulls something like that, I think that's his way, without telling you, this is our first and last date. Because
Really?
now yeah, in some cases, yeah. I don't want to say all the time, but in some cases, yeah. Right? Because I never did it, but if I did it, that would be a reason why I did it. Like if I actually take you out and we went out and I've said that I was gonna pay or led
Okay.
you to assume I was gonna pay, and if for somehow, some way, all of a sudden now I'm acting like I'm looking forward you to contribute to the bill. That means something happened during that night that I'm like, yeah, I won't be seeing her again. And now I don't even want to pay for the whole thing.
So let me ask you, let's say it's a blind date, right? You meet the
Mhm.
person, you were expecting something else. The date is just not going well. Would you still pay for the date?
On a blind date,
Hmm.
um,
If you and the person are just not, it's not going well, do you think
nah,
you're still obligated to pay for the date?
nah, I'm not going to pay
Why?
because I feel like the fact that it's a blind date, I'm playing by different rules now. I didn't, I didn't ask to take you out.
Mm,
This is something that we both pretty much in
signed up for.
agreement on. Yeah, we both signed up for this. But that's a tricky question, right? Because if
Yeah.
if if you ask another man that and he said, "Yeah, I would pay," I wouldn't even find nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't find nothing wrong with that answer. But for me, unfortunately, it's just me up here, so I can only give you my answer. And my answer is, if I'm on a blind date and it's going left, nah, I'm not going to pay. If it's especially if it's going bad,
Oh
nah,
boy. Oh
I'm not
boy.
paying.
Oh
Actually,
boy.
even if we didn't get
Oh
to the
boy.
entree,
No, no, no,
I'm yelling,
no,
I'm screaming
no.
check.
No, I don't agree to that. I feel like even if the date is going bad, you should still pay.
Even if
That's
it's a
not
blind
right.
date.
That's not right. Yeah, that's not right.
Well, why? Because I'm the man.
Yeah, it's
Nah, I don't
courtesy.
agree. I don't agree. I mean, it depends. It depends what the fallout is about.
Hmm.
Can you kind of understand where I'm going with that?
Okay, let's say it's a situation where you were talking on the phone with the person, things were going great on the phone, let's say a month before, but you just never seen the person in person. And when you met them, it's like a catfish situation. You're definitely not paying, right?
Not only that, if I got catfish, I'm not even staying. I'm out immediately.
If you
Like
got
you
catfish?
just you just lied to me. I'm gone. I'm not sticking around for anything. I'm out of here. Yeah,
Really?
no,
If you get
I'm not playing
catfish?
those games. Yeah, I'm not playing those games. Yeah, I'm not playing those games. I'm out immediately. I don't want no appetizer. I don't want no water. I'm gone. Catfish? Nah, we're not doing that.
That happens to a lot of people.
No, it does.
That happens to a
It it it
lot of
it,
people.
it, it does. It does. And you know, I just feel like you playing around with my emotions. So nah, I'm out of here. I don't need to stick around and call you names. I don't need to get physical.
Yeah,
I don't need to
right,
do none of that.
right,
I'm just gonna
right,
remove myself.
right,
You
right,
know.
right. And some men would choose to be disrespectful. They would choose to be,
Uh,
like you said, just remove yourself. That's all. Say, this is not what I expected. And,
Yeah,
that's it,
yeah. But
but
even if I'm not catfish, if it's a blind date and it's not working out the way I would like for it to work out, yeah, I still won't see me paying. You know. You
oh boy.
disagree, obviously. You say you feel like I should pay because I'm a man, but
Yeah,
nah,
courtesy. Yeah, you're still supposed to
nah.
pay.
I
Oh
mean, I
boy.
don't, I don't know. I have a hard time with that one. Only because you said blind date. If we
Okay.
friends, if we
Hmm.
friends,
Hmm.
even if we're not dating, if we just friends and we decide to go out, you know, most of the time I'm down to cover it just because I'm a guy or whatever, and it's a little different. But I just feel like blind date. There's something about that word blind date that makes
Yeah.
me feel like if we cut this night short, then nah,
You
we
see,
both gonna pay.
Sean said, be honest. If she's ugly, you're not paying. That's not nice. That's not nice to say.
No, but that wasn't even the question. You were saying if we got into it, as far as like if the date wasn't working out, because
Okay,
you
but
can
say
be
the person,
pretty.
okay, say the person is not visually what you expect. It's the person, but visually they're different in person. Would you
Well,
still feel that way?
if the date if it was going smooth, well, see, that's the thing. If I stayed,
Hmm.
regardless if I felt like you're not my cup of tea on the physical tip, if I stayed and we
Right.
ate, yeah, I'll cover it. Even if I know I'm
Yeah.
not, even if I know, yeah, I'm one and done, I still would cover it.
Okay.
But I'm saying you can be pretty, but if we clashing and the date not going well, I'm not paying.
Hmm.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
saying because when you bring looks into it, then I feel like if you feel she's not your cup of tea, then why are you even sticking around? You just want to play nice, and that's fine if you want to do that. But then I'm gonna play nice the whole way. We're gonna eat. We're gonna talk. Hey, we might even have a good time. I got it.
Right.
I'm gonna cover it. You
Right.
know.
Right.
But I feel like if you that turned off by her physical, then don't even stay. Like, don't stay and then try to say, well, here's the bill. The bill is $40. You got $20. I'm not going to do all of that. You know. But I don't care if you're a dime piece. If you're a dime piece and we're clashing, and it's like only 30 minutes into it, and I feel like this not working out, no, I'm not paying, and I'm calling the waiter over. Check, please. Yeah, no, we paying this down the middle. I don't care how
Wow.
pretty you are. If it ain't working out, it ain't working out. because it's a blind date. You
Mm-hmm.
know?
We got to have another show on this topic. This is a good topic. We got definitely have to do a show on this.
Yeah, listen,
I need
anytime
I
you talk
need
about
another
men and
female to
women,
back me up on this. I need another female.
anytime you talk about men and women, that's a subject that could go on for hours.
Yes, definitely, definitely. All right, all right. I see your point. I see your point. I agree with a lot of things. Like you said, if it's not going well, it's just not going well. And you really shouldn't be obligated to pay for It's just like if you get a meal and you're not happy with it, you don't want to pay for it, or you want a
Right,
discount. It's only right.
right.
You want to get some kind of like compensation for your meal not being the way you wanted it.
Yeah, see, come over here in my world. Look at my lenses. That's what I'm talking about. Come over here. See how I won you over now? So,
Oh my goodness. So, today we talked about, couples having joint bank accounts, credit cards, and there's a lot of pros and cons, but it's really a personal choice, but I just wanted to do this show so people know, the good and the bad that can come out of it, because sometimes they're not looking at it from the back end, how things can affect you, when you make these kind of decisions. So just make sure, if you're going to get that joint account with somebody, make sure you know what's going on. If you're going to get a joint credit card, make sure they know, you have to be responsible. Both parties definitely have to be responsible. So
absolutely.
that's it. Hugh, let everybody know how to reach you.
Uh, Instagram, Legal Money Brand.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, Legal Money 718. TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
at Legal Money 718. Facebook, Legal Money Brand. Website, legalmoney.org.
All right, Legal Money, guys. Make sure you check him out. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share Stacey Talks Money podcast on Instagram. YouTube is Stacey Talks Money. And we are out. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Bye.
See you next week.